All right, we are live. This is the Karat Juice Podcast. We are currently broadcasting on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as we speak. This is episode 48 of the Karat Juice Podcast. Welcome. Thank you for coming through. I'm going to do a sound check real quick before we get into it. One moment. Sound check is good. We sound good. I'm still trying to figure out the delay when it comes to some of the audio, but we'll build it while we fly it. So today's program for the replay, and I want to get right to the information for you. If you're coming in, go ahead and like the video, please, as it helps out for the YouTube algorithm. I am your host, Monte Lee. This is the Karat Juice Podcast. Here on this podcast, I provide commentary and perspective on popular culture. We talk about dating, we talk about true crime here and there, and I also add in productivity. This episode is a productivity-packed episode. Today, we are going to be talking about getting started on YouTube, in particular, what you need to know and what I wish I knew if you're somebody that wants to get started on YouTube and you're watching this here in 2022 or in future time. So before we get into it and I get into the nitty gritty of all of the information that I have for you guys today, we're going to be covering 5 points. And what I want you to take away from this episode is I want you to at least have one action step that you could take to get started on your YouTube journey. And before we get into it very in depth here, the main thing that I wanted to harken home and hit home with you guys is this. Why start a YouTube channel in the first place? YouTube is a very huge platform. It is attached to Google, the biggest search engine in the world. And what opportunity that a lot of people have when it comes to YouTube is it's a great place to get started and to grow on because it has organic reach. What is organic reach? Organic reach is what Instagram had initially when you post something, you put a couple of hashtags, and then the platform will push it out and let other people view your content. YouTube has that, and it's one of the only platforms that still does it and has done it from day one to where you can reach an audience and potentially billions of people with your content simply by adding value. So a lot of small businesses, a lot of celebrities, a lot of small content creators, a lot of personalities, people of all walks of life are gravitating towards YouTube because of the opportunity for growth. There's been multiple articles, there's been multiple publications talking about how YouTube and becoming a YouTuber is one of the most desirable careers you could have currently in the market. So with that being said, we're going to get right into the content here. And I actually have some value packed information for you guys. I don't know if you guys are like me, but when it comes to getting my thoughts out there, getting my thoughts across, I like to write my thoughts down. I'm not the best at typing out what I want to talk about. It never really gets translated the way that I want it to get translated. So I have 5 points that I want to get to with you for you guys today, and then I'll have you on your way. I like to keep these episodes concise and clear. 45 minutes and you're out. You know, serving size of your juice, that's all you're going to get. All right. So the first point that I wanted to talk about today, and the thing that I thought was the most important, was when it comes to YouTube, you just need to get started. A lot of people, when they're first thinking about it or considering getting started on YouTube, what you do, you read about it, you watch a lot of videos about it, you think about the different ideas that you have, but rarely do you cross that barrier. I would say at least 90% of the people who want to start something like this don't do it because they never cross the barrier of downloading all that information, figuring out all the different things you can do, and you get something called over analysis paralysis. Shout out to Think Media and Sean Cannell. He talks about this a lot, and I thought it was a great point. You can get over analysis paralysis, where when it comes to downloading all this type of information, watching all these type of videos about what you should do, what's the different ideas and styles and topics you could be talking about on YouTube, you can get overwhelmed by all that information, is basically what I'm saying. And what I urge you to do is just get started. Number one, just press record. You can start with just your phone. That's the simplest thing you can do. You don't have to have a crazy in-depth setup. We'll talk about gear a little bit later, equipment that you can use. But the main barrier that a lot of people never get past is just getting started here on YouTube. And let me adjust my light. I'm looking kind of dark right now. Let's see if that helps. That should brighten me up a little bit. Boom. There we go. So we got that. And hey, this is another thing. Anybody that's a YouTuber, you become you're a videographer, you're a content planner, you're the talent when it comes to orating and getting your thoughts across. You wear a lot of different hats here on YouTube, and I'm here to help you navigate through all that. So get started, just press record. I'll tell you this. You will not regret it if you just get started. And the second point that I wanted to go to, what we were talking about, is your first 50 videos. Let's be honest, let's be real. And I can attest to this. Your first 50 videos here on YouTube are not going to be the best. That's okay. Your first 50 videos are not supposed to be the most amazing thing ever. What you're supposed to do during that time is just kind of get your sea legs under you. Figure out what your cadence is. Figure out what you enjoy creating. And you got to look at it like if you were exercising. For instance, when you go to exercise, you're not going to go the first time you go into the gym and put up 275 pounds on the bench press right off the rip. You're not going to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to maybe start with the bar when you're first starting out and you're a beginner. Okay. This is for beginners. You're going to start with the bar, and then over time, you're going to get better at putting up the weight. You're going to get better at handling the weight. And then you're going to be building up your muscle. You're going to be building up your endurance. The same thing goes for being a content creator. The same thing goes for creating content. What you need to do is work the muscle of creating, work the muscle of figuring out what you even want to say. And a lot of people, they get hung up on, well, what if I don't sound the best? What if people laugh at me? Or what if people make fun of me? You got to get past that, because at the end of the day, there is some fear. There is a little bit of doubt. Everybody has it. If somebody says they didn't have any of that, they'll be lying to you. Personally, with me, when I first started on YouTube, I thought that I was sounding okay. I thought I had the right delivery and cadence and everything when it came to creating content. But I look back at those videos and they're still up on the channel. I was, stiff as the Terminator. I had no camera confidence. And that came, and that will eventually come, just from the repetition of creating content. Like, I didn't realize that you're supposed to be looking directly into the lens when you're creating content. And I was looking off at the monitor on the camera. So my first couple of videos, I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, this is Monte from the Karat Juice Podcast. Thank you for coming. And yeah, all right, this is what we're going to be talking about next. Like, it's robotic, and it's okay. I figured it out. And the only thing that really changed that from all of the content that I had been watching and listening to over time is just the repetition of creating content. So that's the second thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is create your first 50 videos. And they're not going to be the best, but they're not supposed to be the best. Okay. They're supposed to just get you in the habit of creating content and figuring out what that process is like. And then over time, you're going to develop a skill set that will compound every time you repeat that process. So that's some of the best advice that I could give you. And that's one of the things that really helped me is just putting the content out. Don't even worry about views at the beginning. Don't even worry about getting subscribers at the beginning. Why should somebody subscribe to you if you haven't even put in the work, the repetition to get better at creating, getting better at your craft, getting better as an orator, getting better as somebody to tell stories? Because let's be honest, let's be real. A lot of people don't have a huge attention span, and your first couple of videos or whatever aren't going to be the best. So you need to put in that work on the front end. Okay, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, so let's move on. I'm going to go to the third thing that I wanted to talk about. All right, so we also need to talk about gear. So a lot of people have a lot of different schools of thought when it comes to gear and what you really need when it comes to creating a YouTube channel. So when I first started out, I invested some money into this, and I actually got a camera, a DSLR camera, when I first started out. So this is a Lumix G85. This is like a $700 camera that I picked up. All right. It's a micro 4/3 camera. It's not a full frame, but it was a great camera just starting out. So this is what I started with. And by all means, you do not have to start out with something like this. I think this is like $750 now. Okay. So I'll be answering questions as well towards the end, El Padilla. But what I would say is just starting out. I'll show your comment. Let me see here. Just starting out, he asked, what would be the length of a video, a good length for the video? I would say starting out, start with 8 to 10 minutes. Start with 8 to 10 minutes because people have a short attention span. The most important thing, believe it or not, on YouTube is not getting likes and not getting just views. It's about getting people to watch. Your average view duration, how long somebody watches your video, is the most important metric on YouTube. Trust me. It's the most important thing. YouTube, Google wants people to watch the videos longer, and that's how you can do that. So what's going on with my lighting? Let me get this adjusted. All right. So starting out with gear, you can get yourself a DSLR camera. That's really going to upgrade your quality a lot. But in all honesty, if you're a beginner just starting out with just your phone on a tripod is more than enough to get started. And then when you're talking about what you want your audio to sound like, people can deal with your video not being the best, but people do not have any tolerance for bad audio, for dirty audio, for noisy audio. So what you want to do is you want to invest in at least a little lavalier mic that you can attach to yourself, or you can get yourself like a $50 USB mic off of from like Best Buy or Amazon or what have you. Blue Yeti mics are really good. They're like $50, and that's going to upgrade your quality the most. People can deal with your video quality not being the best, but people cannot deal with bad audio. Trust me on that. So we have Lakeisha Godson. Thank you for watching. Shout out to you. She asked, what advice would you give me to start my own YouTube? So the number one advice I would get you is you just need to get started with it. Just get started. Punch fear in the face. It's going to be awkward at first, but trust me, you just have to press record and get started, even if it's just with your phone. You can record videos on your phone and publish them to YouTube. You just got to get started. And like I was saying before, your first 50 videos that you publish on YouTube aren't going to be the best, but you'll get into the habit of creating content and getting more comfortable with yourself, more comfortable on camera. A lot of people could be a confident person. I'm an extrovert. I can talk to people. I can, I could gab with the best of them. But it was an awkward transition from going from that to actually sitting here in a room by myself and talking to a lens, talking to a mic. It takes some time to get that. So the best advice I can give you is just get started. I hope that's helpful, Lakeisha. I have a lot of information on like what you can do once you're trying to figure out what you want your content to be like. I don't understand why it's so dark in here. Hold on, let me turn this down. I think something's going on with my lighting. And see, I'm trying to figure all of this out on the fly, you know. Let me change my see, and I gotta change settings on the fly. Let's do that. That's better. All right. I think we're good with the lighting there. Cool. Let's try that. All right. So I'm trying to figure this light situation out on the fly. There we go. And then what else do we have here? We have Lakeisha. What can Books and Noble can do for you? I don't quite understand. What can Books and Noble can do for you? Could you rephrase that question? I really don't understand. All right, let's see here. Would you say don't be afraid to make mistakes? All right, so we have Katie here. Katie Love. Would you say don't be afraid to make mistakes? Definitely. Most definitely. Thank you for watching. Shout out to you. I would say a lot of people are afraid of what people might think. It's weird. It is awkward to sit here and talk to yourself in moments like this. But what helped me was thinking about, even if somebody wasn't in this live stream, when I first started, nobody was in these live streams at all. That was really, really awkward. I'm happy to have 4 people for sure. Trust me. All right. But even if there was nobody in here, I got to think about it like this. Eventually, somebody's going to see this, because after you do a live stream or after you publish a video, somebody eventually will see it. So it helped me to look at the lens and say, I'm speaking to one person on the other side of this lens, and hopefully I can add value to that one person. And then once I thought of it like that and I took it away from me, it actually helped me to be able to provide the information and get past anything that I might have been feeling awkward. So what I would say is, do you have a talent? Do you have a skill? Do you have anything you're passionate about? Or do you just want to do it as a hobby? Find something that you are passionate about that you could add value to other people with, and then go ahead and just press record. In all honesty, a lot of the people who are on here on YouTube are very positive. So don't worry. Like, people don't have time to really worry about making fun of you or anything like that. People are usually coming on YouTube, which is the next point I have, to get a question that they have answered. So my 4th thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, let me get my bearings here and find it here in my notebook. The 4th thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is your content going to fill a need? If you have content that's going to fill a need, it's going to be something that already has an audience. It already has a target audience for it. So that's the best type of content that you can do. So anybody just getting started on YouTube, what I would say is you should be trying to do search-based content. And when I say search-based content, what does that mean? Search-based content is, for instance, somebody has a problem. They want something to be, they need an answer to something right away. Example of that would be how to change a car tire, right? Maybe you're familiar with cars or something like that. They're going to YouTube for a specific question. And if somebody will go, they have that specific type of car, say it's a Chevy Impala, how to change a car tire on a Chevy Impala. Somebody will produce a video, publish it, and people will watch it because they're going for that particular thing. And you could apply that to a plethora of things. For instance, if you're good at cooking, if you're good at baking, you know how to make some really, really good chocolate chip cookies. Let's be honest. I love chocolate chip cookies, especially when they got milk. You could literally publish a video, you going through the process of how to make chocolate chip cookies. And then there's going to be people who are searching for that specific thing, and you'll get views off that because you're filling a need in the moment. So you could use that in whatever use case you want, but that's one type of content that's guaranteed to get views and guaranteed to get an audience, search-based content. Now, what's the other type of content that's very important to have? The other type of content that's very important that a lot of people can get a lot of views and you could get a lot of virality, like viral moments, viral type of videos that could get over 1 million views, over 100,000 views. That is something called trend and browse based content, recommended content. And that's basically on a trending topic. For instance, we're in NFL time right now, the playoffs. If there's a big play that happens in the playoffs, in the news, if there's a big story that happens, if you cover that or you cover something that's trending according to Google search, that could get picked up and recommended more likely than search-based content. So there's two types of content, search-based content and viral recommended browse-based content. And what I would tell people is they should mix in both getting started on YouTube, but a sure way to get views and to get subscribers and to get your footing is doing search-based content where you feel a need from something that you could add value on, no matter what it is. It could be gaming, it could be cooking, it could be money, finances. That is the best way I can tell you to get started. Feel a need, all right? So that is the fourth thing, all right? And then I also wanted to get into one last name that I thought was important when it comes to getting started on YouTube, okay? A lot of people get hung up on having a brand, having a name. Do you have to have your YouTube name already figured out before you get started? Does it matter? I would say it does matter, and it's going to help you be able to reach your audience in a better way and have a more clear message if you already have your name. For instance, if you're a finance channel, if you're talking about money, if you're talking about productivity, if you have money in your name, that's going to help you be able to stand out. For instance, if your name's John, you could have it called, it could be called John Knows Money, for example. So it already has a money in the topic of the name of the YouTube channel. People are already going to know when they click on John's channel, we're talking about money here. And you could do that with a lot of different things. For instance, Susie, for example. Susie knows knitting, for example, or something like that. It already has in the topic what you're going to be doing, and that could help you be able to stand out. So taking some time to figure out what you want your content to be and what you want your mission and your kind of messaging and branding behind your content is going to help you be able to hit that target audience sooner. And it's not something that you have to have. You don't have to have all this stuff figured out right away. You could change your name later, but it's good to have a plan, a structure starting out. All right. And then another thing, you want to have a value proposition. What are you adding to the viewer to make them want to come back? Why should they come back and listen to your content? So it's important to say and to have in your content, for instance, if you're somebody that does like baking and cooking, you could, after you've done the video, you've baked those great chocolate chip cookies for them, and then you've shown them that, hey, this person makes great recipes, you can add a value proposition in there in your video and say, if you want to see or learn about some more great recipes that I've been whipping up, then you should like and subscribe to this channel. That's a value proposition right there baked in that I just came off the head with, where you're adding value to the person. You showed them how to make great cookies, and then you can siphon them over to more of your content where they can learn about more great things that you have to offer. So you could add that value, and having that proposition of letting the person know this is what you're going to get if you subscribe to this channel is really great to get retention, audience retention, okay, where more people are going to come back. So just to kind of recap what we already have went over, okay, The number one thing is you just need to get started. I said I was talking about 5 things. Number one thing, first thing, just get started. Just press record. It's going to be awkward at first. Don't worry about it. It's all part of the process, okay? Second, your first 50 videos are not going to be the best, and that's okay. That's how they're supposed to be. They're not supposed to be right off the bat the best thing ever. You're not supposed to be a finished product from the beginning. It's going to take repetition and practice over time to get more comfortable on camera. But there's a lot of smaller YouTubers. There's a lot of people just starting out, and there's a lot of free and valuable information here on YouTube to help you through that process. Some content creators that I really appreciate and look up to: Think Media with Sean Cannell, Think Media Podcast, great. Roberto Blake, he has awesome content when it comes to getting started on YouTube. This is all free content, folks. Another person that I follow and I really like the content that they provide is Nick Nimmin. He talks about getting started on YouTube, how to create thumbnails, what you need to do to get views, how do you get better when it comes to search engine optimization. I use all of these resources right on YouTube. If there's anything that I'm unsure about or I don't know what I'm doing, you know where I go? I go to YouTube. The whole process when I was trying to figure out how do I edit? How do I make my audio better? I search on YouTube. That's what I do. And I'm super bright right now. And you know what? I'm adjusting it on the fly. That's better. All right, cool. And then the third thing, gear. What do you need to get started? You can start with just a phone. You can start with a phone. You can start with a earbud mic that's attached to your phone. But it's very important to think about the quality of your audio over anything. I'm currently speaking through a Shure MV7 microphone. It's like a $250 microphone. By all means, you do not need that. You do not need a $250 microphone just starting out. I wanted to invest in the channel. I wanted to invest in the quality, so I did that, but that is not necessary by all means. You can get a $50 Blue Yeti microphone that's going to sound great. And I also have some information on how to make your audio sound better when it comes to reducing noise, making sure that you have the right processing on your content to make it sound good. And it's a free video that I have. It's in the tutorials and tips playlist on my channel. You could check that out. It's called Reducing Noise in Audacity, something like that. But that could help you as well. That's all free content, and that's free software that you can use to make your voice sound better. Fourth, okay, is your content filling a need, and does it already have an audience? So you need to figure out if your content is filling a need, already have an audience, and that's when I talked about search-based content over browse-based and trending and recommended content. Starting out for anybody, I would say go search, fill a need, how to bake, how to clean, how to change a car tire, how to use a camera, things like that, things you can feel a need right away with. That's going to be your best bet to get an audience because the audience is already baked in. You could always branch out later and show more of your personality and all that, and you could put your twist on all of these videos. But just starting out, I'm going to tell you, go with filling a need, search-based content, because one thing about search-based content, people always are going to try to figure out how to make cookies, how to change a car tire, how to use a camera. It never will end. You will always get views from it once you figure out how to do it correctly. So that's the way to go. That's the way I would tell anybody starting out. And I wish I knew this information. So I'm trying to help you guys out. The fifth thing is, do you have a name? Do you have a message? Do you have a value proposition already for your channel? All right. Me, I figured it out quickly because I already had a podcast that I had started, Karat Juice Podcast. And the value proposition of my channel is common sense with a twist. So I provide commentary, perspective on popular culture, dating, true crime, and I add in productivity, and I do it with a humorous dose of common sense. That's my value proposition. People know what they're getting when they come to my channel. I keep it light, I keep it fun, I keep it respectful. So you kind of need to think about these things a little bit, before you get started, because it'll help you to have a better direction and vision towards what you want to put out into the world and put out on YouTube. So those are the 5 things that I wanted to go over with you guys. I also wanted to open it up to any questions that anybody might have. I'll answer questions for a while that anybody might have. And then let's see here. We have Lakeisha Gordon. When I start a podcast, I would like to start one at home. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. And shout out to you, Linda. Doing well. Hopefully you are doing well. And said, when I get my podcast, do I need a mic? Yes, I would say for a podcast, because you want your audio quality to be better. Because for a podcast, I don't know if you're going to be doing a video podcast or not. When I first started, I was just doing audio. But like I said before, people can deal with your audio. People can deal with your video not being the best. But people cannot deal with crappy audio. People are out of the door if your audio isn't good. So I would say invest in a $50 Blue Yeti mic if you don't want to spend the $250 and get the type of mic that I have with the Shure MV7. But it's worth it. Get a mic, a USB mic you can attach right to your computer, or you could get something called a lavalier mic, which you can attach to your phone. That thing with an adapter. A lavalier mic, you can get a good one for like $30. It'll be worth it. And that's one that you could just kind of attach to your shirt or what have you. And you can speak to it that way and have it attached to your phone or to your computer or what have you, or your recording device. And that's going to be a good starting base for you when it comes to audio, when it comes to creating a podcast. And also when it comes to creating a podcast, I have a video on how to start a podcast using Anchor, which is the platform that I use, which is affiliated with Spotify. And you can start a podcast on Anchor. It's entirely free. You can get monetized from day one using Anchor. So that's a good option for you. You literally can record the podcast, edit it, put in your sound effects, put in your music that they have attached to the app, all in that one app using Anchor. And you can do that with your phone and a microphone that's attached to just your earbuds. So that's a good way to get started when it comes to starting a podcast. So don't feel like you got to break the bank just to produce quality content starting out. So that would be some advice that I would give you in regards to that. Hopefully that was helpful, Lakeisha. And like starting on YouTube, I'm so glad that I did it when my first, I would say, 50 videos. I didn't get that much traction when it comes to creating content, but over time I've gotten more comfortable with it, and it's really been fun. I've been getting really good feedback from everybody, and I'm going to keep this going. I hope that people are getting value out of the information that I'm putting out here. So, okay. And when you record, does room size matter? Beautiful Barb says, thank you for watching. When you record, does room size matter? It does, because the bigger room you have, the more sound and interference you can get from your recording. So fortunately for me, I have carpet in this room that helps to kind of dampen some of the sound. I also have some processing things that's on my recorder that's actually reducing noise that I went through. It's a whole thing. I'm going to have to do a whole nother video on noise reduction, noise gates, compressors, all that. It gets very tricky when it comes to some of the audio stuff, but I'm here. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to add some value when it comes to that. But I will say room size does matter. The smaller the room, the better. A lot of people, a lot of content creators actually talk about when they first got started, they actually were recording their podcasts in their closets because it helps to dampen all of the sound. But if you have carpet in your room, if you can kind of try to go into the smallest room of your house or the place where you're staying if you can, because it'll help to reduce some of that noise. All right. And make sure the dogs aren't barking. All right. And let's see here. When you said app, where would that be? So yes, El Padilla, when I talked about the app that I'm referring to, it is called the Anchor app. Anchor. It's a free app that is on, let's see here, on the App Store. I think it's on Android. It's also on Apple. Yeah, and it's just called Anchor. And yep, Anchor app. Let me show you what it looks like. Boom. See it there? Boom. Anchor. Right there. Yep, that's what it looks like. So yeah, check that out when you get a chance. It's a really good app to be able to use to create an what do you call it? It's an app for your phone. So it's really great. Like, I would recommend it to anybody getting started out with a podcast. And the cool thing about that app, it distributes the podcast out to all the different podcasting platforms. So it will distribute it to Spotify, to Apple Podcasts, to Pocket Cast, all the 8 different platforms. Like, let me check on my app here and see all the different platforms that I have my podcast currently getting distributed to. So let's see. Boom. I believe it's 8 different platforms. Yeah, I'm on 8. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, web browser, Pocket Cast, Podcast Addict, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and other. So I'm on a variety of different platforms simply because I'm doing it on the free app, which is Anchor. Okay. And yeah, any other questions anybody might have? I hope this information is helpful. I also have a quote that I wanted to end the podcast with you guys in regards to something that I'm reading. I'm currently reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I'm constantly trying to evolve. I'm constantly trying to get better. And this is a great book to pick up if you want to change your habits, change some of the things that you've been doing in your life that have been leading to not the right results. Atomic Habits. I've been reading this recently. A really great book. I recommend it to anybody. Okay. So check that out. And I have an excerpt from the book that I wanted to go over. And I thought it was an interesting quote. And what this book is starting to teach me is we are our habits, and our habits over time can be what hinders us or what propels us forward and moves us on to success. So the only difference between you and somebody that's extremely successful is their habits. All right. Habits that you can start doing each and every day to get to and above your goals each and every time. So there's an excerpt here that I wanted to talk about. So here we go. So it says here, and it's a quote from Atomic Habits, and it indicates, that said, it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on the path towards success. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. If you're a millionaire, but you spend more than you earn each month, then you're on a bad trajectory. If your spending habits don't change, it's not going to end well. Conversely, if you're broke, but you save a little bit every month, then you're on the path toward financial freedom, even if you're moving slower than you'd like. That is courtesy of James Clear, Atomic Habits, published in 2018. I dropped a link to this book for my Amazon affiliate link, which I do receive a commission on. I think the book is like $12. I would recommend it to anybody who's trying to change their habits, trying to change their way of life, trying to change their mentality. It is a great book, and I would recommend anybody read it. So unless anybody has any other questions, I think that's a great way to end it. I like to keep these concise and clear. As I put in my About Me page, serving size 8 to 45 minutes. This has been the Karat Juice Podcast. I release a new podcast every Tuesday. They're going to be live here on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays. I'm going to remain consistent with that to make sure that I'm adding values to you guys. And sometimes it's going to be a true crime story. Sometimes it's going to be something like this where I'm talking about productivity. I really enjoy talking about productivity, talking about ways that I can help people, and kind of giving you guys some tips and some insight on things that I wish I knew. And starting out, it's a bit, what's the best way to put it? When you're first starting and you put out your videos and you're trying to figure out how to edit, you're trying to figure out how to get your audio right, how to record and everything, and you put that video out and you look, it can be a bit disheartening when you look and it's like 3 views on a video that you put all that work into just starting out. But what I'll tell you is, don't worry about just the short term. Remember what James Clear said in Atomic Habits. It's about the little contributions you put into something every month. Eventually, you will get to where you need to be, but you can't focus on your current circumstances right now. You have to put in the work now to get the results later. And when you're first starting out, you're not going to get anything back. You're not going to get any gratification. It's going to be delayed. But I will tell you this, the best things in life come when there is delayed gratification, when you had to work hard for it. And YouTube is something that you have to work hard for. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not going to be easy, but anything in life worth having shouldn't be easy, right? I know you can do it. You just have to commit to actually doing it. That's it. I just got committed. September 1, 2021, I just said, you know what? I bought all of this stuff. I bought all of this gear. Let me use it. I need to stop overanalyzing. I need to stop just watching videos on how to figure it out. I need to stop watching videos on how to create a YouTube channel. And I just decided to do it. I decided to actually create a new video every day for 3 months. All right. Now that is a bit different. That is going all in, but that was what I needed to do to really figure out what I wanted to do with this. And everybody doesn't have to be like that. You can remain consistent and just say, hey, I'm going to put out at least 1 video a week. But when you tell yourself you're going to do something, do not let yourself down and stick to that consistent plan, because YouTube does reward consistency. YouTube rewards people who continually work at it. And that was my method and my process to it. But I am so glad that I did it. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's not going to be easy, but nothing in life worth having should be easy. And I will end the podcast with that. And like I say every time on the podcast, love somebody, hug somebody, do something good for somebody, not expecting anything in return. And I'll see you guys in the next live podcast next week, Tuesday at 6. Throughout the week, I'm going to be releasing more videos. You'll get at least 3 videos about a variety of topics here on this channel as well. If you haven't done so already, like the video. If you got value out of this, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell and select all so you get notified anytime I go live, anytime I drop some content, anytime I post a community post talking about tacos or coffee. You guys already know what it is. This is the Karat Juice Podcast. I'm your host, Monte Lee, and I'm out. Peace. We all gone.